There's a woman in your city right now thinking about a man she'll never have. Not because he rejected her, not because he played games, but because he made one fatal mistake. He showed her he was replaceable. And here's what most men don't understand. A woman can like 10 men. She can flirt with 20, but she only chases the one she knows she'll never find again. The one whose absence creates a void no one else can fill. If you've ever felt invisible to a woman who used to light up when you walked in, if you've ever watched her lose interest the moment she became available, stay with me. Because what I'm about to show you isn't about tricks or manipulation. It's about becoming irreplaceable. Hit that like button right now if you've ever been replaced by a man who did less than you. Subscribe, because this knowledge doesn't come from dating coaches. It comes from centuries of cold observation about power, scarcity, and human nature. And once you understand why women chase men they fear losing, you'll never beg for attention again. You'll never explain yourself to someone who doesn't value your time. You'll never chase someone who should be chasing you, because you'll finally understand what Machiavelli knew 500 years ago. Value doesn't come from effort. It comes from scarcity. And the moment you become scarce, everything changes. So let's break down exactly how to become the man a woman measures every other man against. The man she chases, the man she fears losing, the man she knows she cannot replace. Most men are drowning in availability. They text back instantly. They rearrange their schedule for her. They drop everything the moment she shows interest. And they wonder why she goes cold, why the spark dies, why she suddenly has time for everyone except them. Here's the brutal truth. The moment you become too available, you become ordinary. And ordinary men are forgotten the second someone more interesting walks in. This isn't cruelty. This is psychology. Women, like all humans, assign value based on scarcity. Think about anything you've ever wanted. A limited edition item, a rare opportunity, an exclusive experience. The moment you knew everyone could have it, the desire vanished. But when something felt rare, limited, hard to obtain, your brain elevated its value automatically. That's not manipulation. That's how the human mind works. And attraction follows the exact same pattern. When your attention is always available, always free, always given without her earning it, she stops valuing it. Not because she's shallow, but because humans don't cherish what costs them nothing. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago when he wrote about power. He said men judge more from appearances than from reality. Translation: people don't measure your actual worth. They measure how rare you appear to be, how difficult you are to obtain, how much effort it takes to keep your attention. And here's where most men destroy themselves. They think giving more will make her want them more. More texts, more compliments, more availability, more effort. But every time you give without boundaries, you're training her brain to see you as abundant, common, replaceable. Now imagine a different man. He doesn't text back instantly, not because he's playing games, but because he has a life that matters more than his phone. He doesn't rearrange his schedule for her, not because he's rude, but because his time has standards. He doesn't chase, not because he's cold, but because he knows his value doesn't depend on her validation. And what happens? She starts noticing him differently. She wonders why he's not like the others. She starts checking her phone to see if he responded. She starts competing for his attention without him asking. That's scarcity in action. You don't need to try. You just need to exist in a way that communicates one thing. I am valuable. I am rare. I am not easy to have. And the moment she senses that, her brain rewires everything. Because now you're not just another option. You're the man she compares everyone else to. The man whose absence she feels. The man she's afraid to lose. Drop this in the comments. I am not abundant, but scarcity alone isn't enough. Because a rare man who has no presence is just a ghost. And ghosts don't trigger obsession. They trigger indifference. So here's the second layer. Presence. The way you carry yourself when you're around her. Most men think attraction happens through words. They believe if they say the right thing, compliment her perfectly, make her laugh enough, she'll want them. But that's the thinking of a man who's never seen how attraction actually works. Women don't fall for what you say. They fall for how you make them feel. And how you make them feel has nothing to do with your words. It has everything to do with your energy. The way you move. The way you hold eye contact. The way you occupy space without apologizing for it. The way you stay calm when everyone else is reactive. Marcus Aurelius said it perfectly. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. B1. Translation. Stop explaining yourself. Stop trying to prove your value with words. Embody the energy of a man who already knows his worth, and let her feel it. This is what most men don't understand about presence. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's not about dominating the room with your voice. True presence is quiet, controlled, deliberate. It's the energy of a man who doesn't need validation because he's already validated himself. Think about the last time you saw a man who commanded attention without trying. He didn't tell jokes to get laughs. He didn't interrupt conversations to be noticed. He didn't perform for approval. He just existed. Grounded, unbothered, and everyone felt it. Women glanced at him repeatedly. Men respected him without knowing why. His presence communicated something words never could. I don't need you. I don't need this room. I don't need approval. I'm complete without it. And that completeness, that self-contained energy, is magnetic. Machiavelli understood this when he wrote about power. He said it is not by force, but by artful guidance that men hold power over others. You don't force attraction. You don't push for it. You guide it by being the kind of man whose energy alone makes her curious. Presence is also about control. Emotional control. When she tests you, and she will, you don't react. You don't get defensive. You don't explain. You just pause. Look at her calmly and respond when you're ready. That pause, that silence, communicates more power than any words could. Because in that moment, she realizes something. You're not like the other men who collapse under pressure. You're not reactive. You're not desperate. You're deliberate. And that deliberateness makes her wonder, who is this man? Why doesn't he need me? What else don't I know about him? Now combine scarcity with presence. You're rare, and when you do show up, your energy is undeniable. You don't chase her attention. You command it without asking. And the result? She stops seeing you as an option. She starts seeing you as the option. Drop this in the comments. My presence speaks. But even scarcity and presence aren't enough if you're living a life with no direction. Because women don't just chase rare men with strong energy. They chase men who are building something. Men who have purpose. Men whose lives are moving forward with or without her. Here's the truth most men avoid. If your entire world revolves around getting her attention, she'll sense it. And the moment she senses you have nothing else going on, you become boring, predictable, forgettable. But when she sees that you're focused on a mission, a goal, a vision that's bigger than her, everything shifts. Nietzsche said it clearly. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. Translation: a man with purpose can endure anything. And that strength, that focus, that refusal to be distracted by temporary pleasures makes him magnetic. Because women aren't drawn to aimless men. They're drawn to men who are going somewhere. Purpose isn't about flexing. It's not about bragging. It's not about showing off your goals to impress her. Purpose is what you do when no one's watching. It's the discipline you maintain when it's easier to quit. It's the vision you pursue even when people doubt you. And when a woman sees a man like that, a man who's so locked into his path that her approval doesn't shake him, she can't help but be drawn in. Because now she's not just attracted to him, she's fascinated by him. She wants to be part of his world. She wants to understand what drives him. But here's the catch. If you let her in too easily, if you change your path to accommodate her, if you make her your purpose, you lose the very thing that attracted her. Because she didn't fall for a man who needed her. She fell for a man who was complete without her. Machiavelli understood this principle of power. A man who masters his own life, who creates and controls his destiny, becomes magnetic and respected. Influence comes naturally when a man has a clear purpose. You don't have to convince her you're valuable. Your life proves it. This is why men with direction are irresistible. They don't have time to play games. They don't have energy to waste on people who don't match their standards. They move through life with intention, and women notice. They see a man who can't be distracted, can't be manipulated, can't be stopped, and that immovable energy, that refusal to deviate from his path, makes her realize something terrifying. If I don't earn my place in his life, someone else will. And just like that, the dynamic flips. She's no longer the one being chased. She's the one chasing. Drop this in the comments. I have a mission. Now here's where it gets darker. Because scarcity, presence, and purpose create attraction, but they don't create obsession. Obsession comes from something deeper. Something most men never master. The subtle pull. The invisible influence that makes her think about you when you're not there. Most men try to stay in a woman's mind by being present constantly. Texting all day. Calling every night. Making sure she never forgets they exist. But here's the psychological truth. The more you're there, the less she thinks about you. Because her brain has no reason to. But when you disappear, when your presence becomes unpredictable, when she can't figure out your pattern, her brain goes into overdrive. This is called the Zeigarnik effect, the human tendency to remember incomplete patterns and obsess over unresolved tension. When she can't fully understand you, her mind won't let it go. That's why mystery is so powerful. Not fake mystery where you pretend to be deep. Real mystery where parts of you remain hidden. where your thoughts, your emotions, your intentions aren't fully revealed, where she has to guess, wonder, imagine, and the more she imagines, the bigger you become in her mind. Machiavelli said it perfectly. Often the strongest influence is unseen. You don't force her to think about you. You create the conditions where her own mind does the work. Every time you don't respond immediately, every time you end the conversation first, every time you leave before she wants you to, you're planting seeds in her subconscious, seeds that grow into curiosity, curiosity that grows into obsession, obsession that grows into chase, and the beautiful part, she won't even realize you're doing it because you're not manipulating her. You're just being a man who values his time, energy, and attention. The subtle pull is also about timing. Never give her everything at once. Never let her predict when you'll show up, how you'll respond, or what you'll do next. Keep her guessing, not through games, but through genuine unpredictability. Because predictable men are forgotten, unpredictable men are remembered. Every glance you hold a second longer, every pause before you respond, every time you smile without explaining why. These are breadcrumbs, and she'll follow them deeper into your world without realizing she's chasing. Because the pull doesn't feel like a pull. It feels like her choice, but it's not. It's the result of your discipline, your control, your refusal to be like every other man who gives everything away for free. And when you combine scarcity, presence, purpose, and the subtle pull, something happens that most men never experience. The chase becomes natural. Drop this in the comments. I create the pull. Let's bring this together, because everything we've talked about, scarcity, presence, purpose, the subtle pull, they all lead to one outcome. She stops seeing you as a man she's dating. She starts seeing you as the man she cannot replace. And once you reach that point, the game is over. You've won. But here's what most men don't understand. Becoming irreplaceable isn't about being perfect. It's about being rare. It's about having standards so firm she knows you'll walk away if she crosses them. It's about living a life so full that her absence doesn't destroy you. It's about being the man who doesn't need her, but chooses her. And that choice, that deliberate decision to let her into your world, makes her feel something she's never felt before. Earned, not because you made her beg, but because she knows your time, your energy, your presence are not given freely. Machiavelli taught that value comes from scarcity, not effort. When you live with purpose, when your time has standards, when your mindset is disciplined, she recognizes a difference instantly. You're no longer just another option. You're the man she measures all others against. And that's when the chase begins. She doesn't chase because you manipulated her. She chases because you became someone she can't predict, can't control, and can't replace. She chases because every other man bends. But you don't. Every other man explains. But you don't. Every other man begs. But you walk. And in a world full of men who are desperate, available, and predictable, the man who is rare, deliberate, and purposeful becomes unforgettable. Not because he tried, but because he simply existed in a way that made everyone else disappear. Drop this in the comments. I am irreplaceable. Here's the final truth. This isn't about tricks. This isn't about games. This is about mastery. Mastery of yourself, your energy, and your life. Because when you master yourself, attraction stops being something you chase. It becomes something you create just by being who you are. So stop texting her back instantly. Stop rearranging your life for someone who hasn't earned it. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't respect your time. Start living with purpose. Start valuing your presence. Start becoming scarce. And watch what happens. She'll notice. She'll wonder. She'll chase. Not because you begged, but because you became the man she knows she'll never find again. The man who doesn't need her, but lets her earn him. The man who walks away when others would stay. The man who cannot be replaced. Machiavelli didn't teach manipulation. He taught strategy, self-discipline, and mastery. And when you apply those principles to attraction, you don't just get her attention. You become the standard every other man fails to meet. You become the man she chases, the man she fears losing, the man she cannot replace. If this hit you, like to lock it in. Subscribe for more psychological warfare. Comment the word irreplaceable if you're ready to stop being another option and start being the only one. Because what's coming next will show you exactly how to keep her chasing forever. I'll see you in the next one.